Hey, I got a short video for you today regarding the glycemic index versus the glycemic load and some of the myths and misconceptions that are holding people back from utilizing these tools and understanding the true effects on our body and incorporating what we need to be incorporating into our food choices. So, for instance, the glycemic index is something that is a little bit of a fallacy. A lot of people are making their food choices based on the glycemic index and they're not understanding exactly why they're doing so. And they need to be incorporating a little bit more emphasis on the glycemic load for the reasons I'm going to go over with you. Basically, the glycemic index is a measure of how quickly a certain carbohydrate turns to sugar inside of our body, which is going to create the insulin spike that has a potential to store fat. The problem with the actual glycemic index and the way it rates these particular foods are twofold. Basically, the first problem is the fact that it's always determined on a specific amount of a particular carbohydrate. For instance, 50 grams of a particular carbohydrate, okay, at the rate of which that carbohydrate turns into sugar inside our body, and that number reflects the glycemic index number. The problem with that is that there's carbohydrates that they rank in there that score high in the glycemic index that there's no way you're going to sit down and eat 50 grams of. And it scares people off from those foods. For instance, carrots. Nobody's going to sit down and eat 50 grams of carrots by itself and have to worry about the glycemic index number. So people see that number, they get scared away, and they don't eat carrots. Another example, cantaloupe. Nobody's going to sit down and eat 50 grams of cantaloupe by itself, which scores very high in the glycemic index. They're going to be much more apt to eat about a cup of cantaloupe at the most by itself, which scores very, very low in the glycemic index. What I want to talk to you about today is the fact the glycemic load is a much more valuable tool in determining the overall effect that these carbohydrates have on our bloodstream. The fact that we don't sit down and eat 50 grams of a particular carbohydrate by itself. Rather, we usually combine that carbohydrate, or we should be combining that carbohydrate with other nutrients such as proteins and fats. It drastically reduces the rate at which that carbohydrate turns into sugar in our bloodstream. That is what the glycemic load takes into account, and that's why the glycemic load is a much more valuable tool for you if you choose to determine your nutritional intake based on the rate at which carbohydrates turn into sugar in our bloodstream, which a lot of people do. But that's just a little tip for you. I don't want you to get confused on that and be mistaking certain numbers on the glycemic index to mean more than they really should for your dietary choices. Okay, I hope that helped, and we'll talk to you soon.